Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Alan Kilis and I am the assistant scheduler. So I want to start by thanking Professor Arumi for guiding us through the project since the beginning of fall semester. So today we are presenting the orchard, which is located in Azusa, California. So the members of this team are Said Subani, who is the project manager, Jose Troche, the lead scheduler, Joshua Mitchell, the lead estimator, Alan Kilis, myself, the assistant scheduler, and Mauricio Rodriguez, the assistant estimator. Next slide, please. So as you guys can see in the left picture, there's a map that shows between which streets the orchard is located, so the exact location. On your right-hand side, there's a picture of the building and how it's gonna look once we are done with the construction. So the orchard is a 4-level mixed-use development in Azusa, California. It has 163 units, 217 residential parking spaces. These are located underground, has a fitness center, and a roof that has a dog park. 32,500 square feet of retail space, a site area of 2.24 acres or 97,574 square feet. Next slide, please. So moving on to assumptions. So one of the assumptions is the rectangular columns were replaced by square columns, and this was due to the lack of square columns on Ours Means Online, which is the software that we use to price out the items. Another assumption was the number of fan unit CFM was not exact, therefore we had to use the closest number to get a better approximation. So another assumption was that closer approximate size had to be used for some of the wooden members. And the last assumption is that takeoffs appear to be as accurate as possible, reducing the number of assumptions within the project. So now I'm gonna pass it on to Said, who is the project manager for the project.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Sayed Sobani, and I will be presenting technology and estimate. So one of the technology we use is Bluebeam. Bluebeam is a PDF-based software with advanced markup tools. We use Bluebeam to measure the length, area, and volume of the material on construction drawings. Then we created a legend table to show all commodity takeoff together. About Excel, we transferred the data from Bluebeam markups and legends to Microsoft Excel to organize the data, apply additional formulas, and calculate the total amount of each material. RS means is an online tool to estimate the extended cost of required material, labor, and equipment for a construction project by inserting the data from the total amount of each material in the related line number in RSMeans. And lastly, Primavera is a project management software for scheduling and cost controlling. We use Primavera P6 to create a WBS or work breakdown structure of the project phases and activities, and to obtain the overall duration of the project by inserting each construction activity in sequential or simultaneous order. What is the estimate? In the construction industry, estimate means identifying the overall cost of a construction project. The process of estimating method that we use for this project includes, like, first we divided the project based on different construction trades, including civil, structural, architectural, mechanical, plumbing, and electrical trades. Then, counting all required material of each trade using Bluebeam and MS Excel. Next, obtaining the extended cost of material, labor, and equipment using RS Means Online. And last, calculating the final cost of the project by applying add-ons costs such as overhead, profit, contingency, bonds, insurance, and sales tax. Uh, some of the challenges we faced during the estimating process were taking off the quantity of mechanical and structural components because they have so many details, and so it took us a lot of time to do those trades. Another challenge uh, was doing further calculations such as obtaining the weight of air ducts and steel members based on the metal type mentioned in the specifications. Well, the Construction Specification Institute, CSI, defined 50 divisions of construction trades. For example, Division 3 covers concrete works, and Division 26 covers electrical works, and so on. And the table you see shows the unit cost of material, labor, and equipment for each division. The extended cost for the project is estimated to be 84,429,573 US dollars and 29 cents. Add-ons. In the add-ons table, you can see the percentage of each additional cost we applied. For example, we added 8% for extended cost as our profit and 9% of the material cost for sales tax. After we applied the additional costs, the final cost of the project came up to $106,778,084.16. Now I will pass to Jose, our lead scheduler.
My name is Jose Troche. I'm the lead scheduler for the project The Orchard in Azusa. So the way that the project was broken down was into 3 different sections, since the project is a pretty decent size. The sections were broken off first as in Section C, Section A, and Section B. At the bottom, at the lower bottom left of the screen, you can see a map of the project. The red showcases a ramp that was used when doing the grading. And Section C is the one that had most access to that ramp, so we had to make sure that Section C was the one first getting put work on. Next slide, Seed. All right, so since Section C was the most ahead, the goal was to get Section C, since it's also furthest isolated by itself, was to get early TCO if the city allowed for that, and therefore allow residents to move into the units as well as commercial tenants to start working on their tenant improvement. The next sections A and B soon followed after, which was about 2 weeks difference in each section. Seed, can you go to the next? Okay, yeah, go to the next slide, Seed. Okay, so here's a breakdown of the actual project. If you see in red, the red showcases the different sections, and right here gives you a good idea of the stages that the projects were in. Section C was a wood framing. Section A was was at the grade level deck, and then Section B was just getting the first and second mat rebar being put on, as well as some of the columns being able to they were about to be formed and started to get lifted. Next slide, Seed. So as for the schedule, if you go to the next slide as well, Seed. The schedule started with first doing the demolition of the pavement, since the project was a parking lot. Then we began with grading. After grading, we began to do the footings, and then as the footings proceeded, we began with the slab on grade, and then we put up the columns, and then we would continue with the grade level, and then more columns and beams, and then continue with the podiums. Then the wood framing followed afterward, as well as the structural steel. And then the end piece basically follow out through the whole life of the project. And once we got the wood framing, we began with the drywall and steel stud work, and then finally lightweight and the final finishes. Next slide, Seed. So the next few slides kind of just tell you a little bit more of the activities of the schedule. And you can go to the next slide, see. And he'll just give you a good idea of the schedule and the activities that each section had. The schedule was broken down by traits, which was broken down by section and then down into traits to give a better idea. Next slide, please. The tenant improvement spaces, the spaces would not really adhere to our schedule, since they would be, they would have to go through the tenant, but the tenant would be required to probably get advice from the general contractor for any means and methods that of the tenant improvement contractor would do. Next slide, Seed. And this just shows like more of the MEPs correlating. Next slide, Seed. And that's pretty much it for the scheduling.
Now we have our risk and safety. Risk and safety are two of the most important components on any project next to completing the project. As a team, we take safety as a very important, most highest priority on all of our projects. The things that we take for our risk assessment are the force majeure things, the things that we cannot predict, or the things that we cannot always see coming, like natural disasters or this pandemic that we've recently been through that made us change the way we operate a lot of things. We also take in consideration the employee safety, public safety, and all those type of things that are around a construction site. So we want to make sure that we're not harming the safety, we're not harming the public, we're not harming our employees, we're making sure that we have adequate fall protection, adequate hazard protection, storage for materials. We take in consideration a lot of things like this so that when we are all working on site, there's a safe environment all around us, inside and on the exterior. We're going to go ahead and move on to our logistics, and they'll give us more on our safety, how we correlate with them, and our logistics. Next slide, Saeed.
Yeah, so as Joshua was saying, the logistics plan is going to play a huge role in ensuring the safety of the project. We want to cause the least amount of disturbance to the neighboring businesses and residential homes. So we try to keep everything as organized as we can. So the entrance of the project is going to be located on the east side of the project on 6th Street, and the exit will be located on the north side on Foothill Boulevard. We're going to have spotters just to have an extra set of eyes as equipment and trucks come in. Obviously, you want to look out for traffic, pedestrians, and people on site. We're also going to include a lot of signage, cones, just to ensure that the drivers who are coming into the site know exactly where to go and where to exit. As we've mentioned, our project is phased out into 3 separate sections. So this actually works to our benefit in that it helps us with storage of materials. So when one section is not being worked on, it gives us a little bit of room to have storage space, as well as our office trailer, which will be located on the northeast side of the project. And if we can go to the next slide. Okay, so at this point in our project,
we are at the 14-minute mark. So
gotcha.
We will have to stop there.
Okay.
Judges, do you have any questions for the group?
Yeah, I do have a question. This is Shazane Hussein. My question is, you have estimated for the earthworks about $1 million. Don't you think it's kind of low for that? Because I see you have like shoring and subterranean work also on something like this.
So $1 million for just the grade work? Is that what your question is?
Earthworks, grading and.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so for that, since it's only 1 level subterranean garage, most of it's going to go through excavation. And then the shoring that's going to be used, it's just going to be the rented shoring. So that would be the one that would be used to build out the decks and the podiums.
So you didn't have to grade the whole site. It's just very localized grading pretty much.
Yes, correct.
Because otherwise, yeah, it seems kind of low.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question as well. During construction, in your opinion, how often should a safety meeting be conducted?
Joshua, you want to answer that question, or do you want me to take it? So your question is, how often should a meeting be conducted?
A safety meeting be conducted.
Probably once a week between the foreman and its employees. It's probably, I get once a week just between all the subcontractors and the superintendent.
Any other ideas? Okay, so I'll share with you. So during construction for a contractor, they normally will have to have a safety meeting every morning before the crew starts. Sometimes the crew changes, workers come in and workers leave. So it's very important for the field crew working that they have a safety meeting with their foreman every morning before they go and start any field activity. For the construction management team, every 10 days would be acceptable.
Got it.
But good presentation.
Thanks.
Any other questions from the judges or audience?
We're out of time. I was just going to ask about cost escalation, if that was built into their estimate.
So as for the cost escalation, we did also do that, but we also asked every subcontractor to provide a couple of value engineering ideas. For example, changing like the plywood from OSB to CDX. That would just probably give us another, a couple of savings just from a couple of bucks for each piece of plywood. That will eventually lead to way more savings throughout.
Yeah, so that's value engineering, but I was referring to cost escalation, which is basically when it's going to start construction to when you bid it, to midpoint of construction. So you always have to factor that in to your pricing based on your schedule.
Got it. Okay.
So we are out of time for the Azusa team. Thank you. That was a great presentation.